So they actually are quite clever when they do this, because in this kit there's in this pack here there's two different types of screws. Now you possibly can't tell the difference on the camera, but they are completely different. One's a self-tapping screw and one isn't. So one has a coarse thread and one doesn't. So you can relatively quite easily tell the two apart. So it's not a case of, oh, is this the 6mm one or is this the 7mm one? They don't do that. What they do is take the 6mm one, say, and put it in another bag with 15mm screws. It becomes easy to tell them apart. So they have been quite clever in putting these kits together. It is why I've only made, this is the fourth Tamiya kit I've made, and I do like that about the way in which they build these kits or put these kits together. And yes, I could tear this, but then I still want to get the staple out. And another bag. See why you need either lots of bags or lots of small pots. Pots are easier than bags, I assure you. But you can get in model shops or even just sort of general sort of even hobby shops and things like that. But you can get like little containers, sort of 2-3 inches long, couple of inches wide, with a lid. That you can put these things in. You know, I think I managed with about half a dozen I had when I did the Scania kit. You don't need much more than that. I don't think there's actually that many bags, but they are extremely useful to have. Now then, I want it self-tapping. I want 2 of them. The self-tapping ones are the ones with the coarse thread. In case you didn't know, but you do sort of see them in the diagrams as well. They give you a diagram as to what it looks like, and if I remember rightly, they are even to scale, and they are. You might not see that, but that screw is exactly the same size on the paper as it is in life. So you can literally put it on top of it and go, yep, that's the right length. Another sort of nice touch. 2 of these, and there's the 2. I shall put that to one side for the moment in case I need it again. And then it literally is, have I got the right screwdriver on the end of here? Good quality screwdrivers for doing this is worth it. Let's see if I've got another one. It doesn't actually feel that good a fit, but I'm not going to be torquing these things down. I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on them. You know, you're going into plastic parts. You put too much pressure on the plastic, you'll strip it. So it's a case of it's got to be tight, but not too tight. It's got to be just tight enough, and that's kind of difficult sometimes. I am kind of doing this slightly awkward, just so you've got an idea of what's going on. So that's tight, and I've just nipped it a tiny bit more. Okay, it does move a little bit. Let me just nip it a touch. I can just, I'm not, it does move very slightly. I mean, it's only one screw that's holding it in. I don't need it though. I mean, it's not pulling out. The whole thing is it's not pulling out, it's not bending, it's not really wobbling, it is just twisting slightly, but that really doesn't matter. Okay, I have an advantage. I've built this, not this, but built these things before. I kind of know it doesn't matter. You might not if you start building one from to start with, but if you just sort of think about, you know, what that's doing, the fact that there's sort of a fairly substantial sidewalls on here, it can't move sideways, then generally speaking you get the idea. So really, in fact what this is really doing here is the bit of plastic that I'm holding in the middle, its job is to keep these two bits apart. So if they're pressed together like that, it's keeping them apart. That's what it's doing, that's what its job is. Because when we put the metal rails on the end, which is the next bit, or when we start to put the metal rails on the end, that's where this is one end of it. This, I can't remember if this is the front or the back of the whole chassis. So what I now want out is the two side frames, because we're now on to step 4. We've done step 3, we're now on step 4. Okay, so this is a 4x2. So these chassis rails are actually shorter. I have a Scania which is a 6x4. I'll tell you what that means in a minute. But it was about another sort of 3-4 inches longer than this to accommodate the extra wheel set. So this one's shorter. There is blue plastic film on here. This is how they leave it on from manufacturer. I don't mean Tamiya manufacturers. When Tamiya get these from the people who manufacture the rails, they come already with the plastic on to protect them, stop them getting scratched. They leave it on and they drill all the holes and tap some of them, by the looks of it. At least one of them is tapped there, 2 of them, and they just leave it on. You remove it before you assemble. So the 2 rails, these are aluminium rails, quite strong. We'll take the plastic off. This isn't so bad, these are metal, so you don't get a lot of static electricity. Now then, the first time I ever did this, I must admit being puzzled as to how do I tell which one is which. You might think, does it matter? Yeah, it does matter. Because these hole patterns are different. I mean, not only which one is which, but which way round do they go? Does it go that way or does it go that way? And so you kind of might sort of wonder just which way is the right way. Okay, well, it does tell you on the diagram here that you want the right frame, which is the right frame, and the left frame, so left and right. Okay, which is left and right? Well, you can look at that and go, no idea. But what does give it away is this one has an L impressed on it. There's a letter L, just where my thumb is. Not sure if it's visible on camera, but there's a letter L there. For some reason there isn't a letter R on here. Maybe it's because it's easier to do an L, and if you know which is the left, it doesn't matter. Actually, there is an L. I didn't see it. I was going to say maybe it didn't matter, because if one's an L, the other has to be an R. I can just see it here. It's not impressed quite as much. So whatever was doing the engraving, obviously, wasn't doing it as right. So I know which is left and I know which is right. So it's kind of like the right one's at this side and the left one's at this side. Now again, you've still got this problem, which way is the right way up? Because this is still the left rail, but I can do it that way or I can do it that way. Well, at this point, and I know this is the outside because that's what the diagram's showing me. It could be that way, it could be that way. Well, if you look at the picture, and I know you can't really see the picture too much, but it does show that there are holes in the top right close to this edge, and so one hole and then 2 holes. If I look on here, there's only 2 holes on the whole length, that's there and there. But if I flip it over, I've got 1 hole and 2 holes and 3 holes and 1 hole, which is what it shows in the picture. So I know that rail goes that way. And then what I've got to do is basically do the same thing with the other. It's 1 hole, 3 3 holes in this particular case and 3 holes, but on the other side it looks different again. So I know which way that rail goes that way, this rail goes this way. The fact that they're falling over doesn't really matter at this moment in time. So now what I want is I want a whole another set of parts out, but before I do that I'm going to have a bit of tea because I'm talking non-stop here. You know, that's one thing about streaming, is I can talk non-stop but you can still get a word in edgeways because you type. Now we will probably in a minute, yeah, almost certainly. So far I've been assembling screws into plastic, and screws into plastic are self-tapping screws into plastic, are self-locking. You don't need any thread locking on them because the plastic is doing that, the plastic is grasping the nut. In a minute we'll be putting metal screws into metal, and that's where you would consider using thread lock, and they do provide a tube of thread lock and it's a good thing to use. I think they actually do specify specific points. They'll actually give you a picture. I'm not come across any now, but where they will go, you should use thread lock here. I tend to do it because it's the sort of thread lock it is. It's blue. Can't remember. It's a type where, excuse me, you can undo it. There's a thread lock which takes heat to undo, and you don't want to use that. And you basically can't undo it. It almost glues the nut in, the bolt in place or whatever it is. And there's a type which is blue, which is kind of grasps the nut or the bolt, but you can break that seal, and once you've broken it the screw comes out. So you know, using it on the kind of reason for using it is even with models, and they do it on full-size vehicles as well, the vibration can cause a nut and bolt to undo and then drop out. And of course the nut and bolt's there for a reason, and if it's not there, something could happen. Well, the model's the same. Potentially there could be more vibration on the model or less vibration. Interestingly, you can get, for these kits, you can get a sound and light add-on. It's a control unit which has the wires for the lights. It has a speaker to provide the sound, like of a running engine, for example. And one of the other things the kit has, or the add-on has, is it's got an off-center motor, which is a motor with a weight that's off-center. It's not, you know, so it wobbles basically. If you run the motor, it wobbles. You bolt that to the chassis of this, and it vibrates. So when the engine's running, in quotes, the model vibrates slightly. You know, it looks like an engine's running. So yeah, you get vibration, sometimes deliberate vibration. So you know, sometimes the screws can work their way loose. A little bit of thread lock can stop that. So I'm going to get the bits out that I need. Some of these are metal. Kit A. So I've got MA2, MA1, 2 MA2s, 2 MA1s. They're in here. So these are the suspension mountings. I get frustrated when I'm trying to get in a bag like that and the part that I want is just moving away from me when I'm trying to get it out. That I find really frustrating. So those 2 parts there. Then I need, so I'll just move them off here. Interesting, there's a little pip on these. And I don't know which way around that little pip should go. There's a reason that pip's there, but I don't know what it's for. So I don't know if it has any effect at all. Probably not, so I don't know why it's there. But anyway, they go together like that and they're bolted to the chassis. So I now need part C5 and C15. So that's D. I suspect this is C, yeah, so C5. C5 is one of these. I need two of them, so we'll have that and that. C5. I'll tidy those up a little bit in a minute. C15. There is just one of those, which I was just checking. It's just on the inside. This one doesn't have the same thing. Yeah. So one C15. Folkson, good evening. Ah, nice. Yeah, I agree with you on that. They don't. They're not bad. Relative. I mean, the dash is sort of detailed, and you've got the steering wheel, and you've got a seat, but the actual cab itself is not detailed. I know why they do that, and that is because if you get the remote control pack for it and the sound and light pack for it, they mount in the cab, and they sort of mount behind the seat and sort of underneath it. So there isn't room to put a detailed interior. But having said which, if you mount, as I may mount the remote control receiver elsewhere, then there's nothing to stop you scratch building an interior, and I might do it with this one. I might not. I might do it with this one. So yeah, they're nicer. I've built two of them. I've got this is the Volvo. I've got a Scania, and I've got another Scania which I'm going to use for bits, and then a tanker trailer to build as well, and I've got a refrigerated tractor, a refrigerated truck, trailer. I'll get there in the end. Refrigerated trailer. Okay, and again, I'm filing stuff that doesn't really need it, but I'm not rushing to build this. In fact, especially when I come to paint it, I won't be rushing. There's no other than wanting to play with the thing, that I've not really have any real desire to rush this, and possibly sort of mess something up or stuff like that. I can take my time. I mean, with this sort of thing, you know, half the fun of it is building the thing. Yeah, and I'm going to need the two metal hangers, which are these two here as well. So I'll get them out. So these are part of the remote control mechanism, the push rod ends, and a couple of bushes. I wonder what they're for. They are bronze bushes for instead of bearings. But, right, so I then need screws BC2, which is this pack here. So 2 is the is the machine screws, so they're not the threaded ones. So I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 of these, and then we shall look at what we need after that. So where did I have the cuts over that side? Right. Okay, I'm getting to the point where I'm going to be doing this a lot. Let's make a bigger hole. I really don't want to tip them all out just yet though. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. I did not know they were magnetic. 4, 5, 6 of those. Put them back there. And what do we need now? MA9. What are MA9s? MA9. What size are the MA9s? They are the 12mm ones. So it almost certainly is those. Question is, I need 4, so it's not the silver ones. Okay. There's two silver ones and lots of black ones. So since I need 4 of them, I know it's not the silver ones. And is that the right length? No, that's not the right length by the looks of it. So it's not that one. Must be that one. Is that the same length as that? No, that's shorter. Is that nice? The MA9. Yeah, that's alright. That one's shorter. Usually the diagrams are, well, yeah, it probably is a 9mm. That the diagrams are to scale. It's just very short, very close to it. What I'm just going to do though is I'm just going to check how many are in the kit. So I'll put them to one side like that, because at the back we've got what you could describe as a full parts list. So in Metal Kit it's at the bottom of this page here. So there's 4 9mm, 1 15, so 4 12mm, and these are MA9 times 4, the 12mm ones. So there's 4 of those. Yeah, so that is the right one. That's the wrong one, so we'll put that back in here in a minute. And that's got the washer on it, so that's not the right one. And I am close to just tipping all of these out. That's 2. But I do know that they're so easy to lose the odd one that I don't want to just tip these things out of the bag unless I am really frustrated with it. 3. And 4, and we'll put the 15mm back. So you've stuck with the Tamiya Volvo 124 skits. Oh, It would have been a nice kit, I suppose, but those part, you know, weekly part kits or monthly part kits are expensive. Yeah, I've got quite a few sort of Revel and Airfix and other type plastic kits around here that I must get round to doing. I like helicopters, so I've got some plastic helicopter kits, but they're pricey, but they're nice kits. So let's assemble these again now. So I've got all the parts out. This is the left frame, which is this side here. So for that I need one of these, one of them, one of them. Oh, L2. What's L2? What's L2? Now then, I've got a... Oh, I know what that washer's from. That washer is from here. Always important to put things like that back, because you find if you don't, you can't find it when you actually need one. What is L2? It's going to be either a plastic spacer or something like that. Yeah, it is. It's a plastic spacer, so I now need a plastic kit too. Yeah, that is true as well, Volton. It is. It's less noticeable, the overall cost, but it's kind of like I can't remember what it was, but I did see a comparison once for a particular part work kit, which was something like buying the. I suppose you got the magazine with it as well, so I mean that has some value to some extent, I guess. Because some magazines are £2 or £3 a piece, aren't they? But in sort of UK pound prices, sort of buying the model kit that way, as opposed to buying a comparable kit as a kit, you know, just a one-off purchase, was something like about 5 times the price. But you've gone through it, and you've had you've had the fun of building it, you've had reading the magazines, and you've got something at the end of it, which is it's a different way of doing it. I'm now looking for what I should have done when I just looked at L there, was look at what the tree looked like, which will help me find. Oh, it's the one with the steering wheel on it. Okay. That makes it easy to find, because that's the one with the steering wheel on it. It's white, so I want those two parts out, I think. And I suppose the other thing actually about doing it part work wise is you're forced to take your time in a way, aren't you? You've got weekly or monthly. You've got to wait for that next bit. You can't rush ahead or something like that. So you're kind of forced to take your time, and you sort of then have the incentive, shall we say, to sort of do it nicely, as opposed to just bolting it together, because you can't you can't finish it. So let me just cut these two off. It is sprue L and 2, yeah. Quite why these are white, I'm not sure. Well, I know why they're white, because they're on this tree, but why they decided to have these parts white, that's an awkward one.